it's the end of almost the end of the day, coming into Wednesday, and typically Wednesdays you get some kind of radical price move in the currency, at least the euro dollar. That's all I'm really watching. It's gotten pretty quiet lately, but there's been some 50 pip moves in here that are pretty obvious stuff. It was kind of strange because you know, it was just another one of these bull traps. You know, I don't know if you can make it any simpler. This is a 20 pip trap, and if you're getting in on a low 10 pip per hour volatility breakout window, so you're only taking entries that the bars are under 10 pips for an hour, and you have buy and sell stops on either side, and you just go with the flow. It's very clunky. It's a clunky trade, but it's a kind of a stalking trade from a stop entry standpoint, and it's very you know, logical as far as well, you're getting in when things are quiet and you get out when things are loud. Pretty much going to sit on the sidelines before any entries. Here is about 2 hours and about 12 pips. 3 hours of just sideways nonsense. Here it's really not tradable from, I guess if you wanted to risk, but I wouldn't. The buy stop is here. You'd have to go to a smaller time frame, I think half hour. You really want to get a 10 pip window. 10 pips bracketed. You're completely hedging your position. These are not valid entries here on this time frame just because it's 20 pips, unless you want to risk 20 to make, you know, the problem is it's hard to make 40 pips on that because it never made it up there. It came all the way and retested. So if you're gonna put a buy stop further than 10 pips from the current price, you might as well just put limits in and trade the other side of the game. Trade the outlier here from a limit standpoint, then to have a sell stop here and a buy stop here. Yeah, I guess, but having a 10 pip stop on a limit just below the trap may be a less risky thing, even though you don't get to ride it down. You don't make these 30 pips, but you end up making the 30 and the way back and then some. And of course, if this pullback doesn't bother you, yeah, you're going to make this in the end. But you need to look back and see what you can handle as far as this kind of behavior. Even if you're short here, your stop is here. I'm sure somebody, with all the people trading, somebody sold here. Last known, their stop is here. They're like, oh boy. And then they're like, oh, finally hit my target. And, you know, at this point here, they're underwater. But they didn't get stopped out. So if they really were to stick to their, and this is the old thing, you can look back on any chart and see where it was plan your trade your plan, and you're like, yeah, but it never would have stopped me out. Of course, I'm not sure because the ask, the spread actually widens here. You can't see the ask, so all your shorts are based on the ask, so maybe they did pop you out. And all the merrier to put in a 2 pip grid so you can see where the spread is. Like if the spread is 2 pips on your broker and you see that's a 2 pip window, you can see it's almost a perfect double top, taking the spread out of the equation. And this is a perfect, so it's complete sideways action. Yeah, this is a downtrend, but you know, if you got short on this breakout, I don't think you're loving this 30 pip pullback before you finally are determined to be a genius. And you get your walking papers or your plaque on the wall papers. So now to me it's like, you know what, it's always is a range thing, but I'm of course long here on a stop, and I'll let my stops stack up on the 5-minute chart here. So I'm putting 1 hour stops at the threshold. This is looking to make 8 pips, and this one here looks to make 12 pips, and this one looks to make 20 with a 10 pip stop. But I'd also put this order down here. So if it came back to this with a 10 pip stop, so either way, and there could be a little rush here at the top of the hour. You just come to the end of the session. So these brokers are going to roll over in 10 minutes. And, you know, it's just very boring. You know, trading is so boring and so monotonous. Here, the order placement every 5 minutes, you got to consider that unless you got a robot doing this for you, which I'm sure you could hire a robot to say, okay, the first 3 higher lows, start putting in sell stops, and just keep putting them in. Put them in. Bam! You're already up like 7 pips here, 5, right? Now you're up to here, and this guy even made money. Had this guy still been in existence, the sell stop, which wouldn't be too hard on an hourly chart. But of course, you know, if you don't take your profits, look where they take this thing, you know? So the idea that you got in here, and this is the long-term trading fallacy. Somebody says, I can't say that you're a long-term, short-term trader. You're just a trader. I mean, it's like talking about the speed of light compared to the speed of a turtle and everything in between. I mean, it's ridiculous. And it's really about how quiet this thing gets, because if you're looking at the 5-minute chart and you look at this stuff here, 10 minutes in a nice narrow range. All right, so here, you know, say you went short here, right? You went short, you put your stop in here. They just stopped you out, and you were up on that trade. You know, you're up on that trade. So the exit is as important as the entrance. But sure, I mean, with a spread here of under 1 pip, and it'll get, you know, under 1 pip spread, looking to make 5 pips with a 3 pip stop. Sure, if you start from that standpoint and build out, yeah, all the way to a 15 pip stop, worst stop, if you're day trading on a 5-minute chart. And even if this thing's dropping every 5 minutes, and you just kept buying, buy, you keep buying this thing, and you don't get stopped out, when you get to here, you know, you could bail. As this is going up to retest that, you're selling, sell stops trailing, or you had buy stops trailing. Either way, as long as you're not in these things too big. And here's the retest of the cluster. Boom. So there's probably a triangle living in here. Retest that. Doesn't go any lower than this. People got stops in here for that trade, so risking 5 to make 10, 20, 30, 40. That's a good trade. Trapping those pairs, come back. Up, down, up, down. Okay, so up for the moment here, into the close. Now Asia comes, God knows what they're going to do to this puppy. But it's getting a little long in the game here to keep punishing it down. If you look at the weeklies, the ride's coming to an end, so the bears are getting tired. And when this thing came out yesterday with this surprise announcement by the Fed, are you serious? Like, I mean, I was actually trading that whole session. So open orders with stops. I'm thinking, is this going to be like the deep pegging of the Swiss franc? Are they just going to come out and go, you know what? We're not waiting until that 2 p.m. time. We're just going to tell you straight out. We just raised the, of course, you know, in a world, of course, I don't know. I think everybody's too wimpy to do anything these days. But it looks to me like, you know, that stuff could happen, and you would just be sitting there thinking, oh, you know, just there goes the now we're in 500 pip moves per hour, 500 pips per hour on every currency pair. So when that kind of environment occurs, what's it going to be like then, right? Then how people can negotiate those waters. And these are floating currencies, so they say. So you figure this thing's bobbing around at how many pips per... So this is the big, nice, smooth... This is the first kind of smooth weekly pullback that we've even had in the euro. This is the soft landing that they used to talk about. That's a soft landing. So look at this soft landing. First one in all these bars going back to the this big bottom here. So look how that thing just, this was the big breakout trap for the bulls up here. 50 pip trap, goes quiet, meltdown. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 weeks down. So this is getting to be very like, wow. But we have a huge void up here to fill, just like this void that was filled, and this underneath void that was filled. Here was a great southern fill. When you came, and then so all these vacuum holes underneath, you know, you can run that moving average on the highs and lows, and sometimes that makes it easier to see it. So if you inserted say a moving average of just the highs, go for high only. Let's make this a little skinnier. So this is just the upper vacuum. Oh, I'm gonna set that to 1. And then you can see the lower vacuum. You put it on. When you string all those highs together, you can connect the dots. You can see the vacuum forming. So you insert a lower. And some people have, you know, because this is like Bollinger Bands without the lag. You know, Bollinger Bands, whenever time I see these indicators, I'm thinking, can I take that thing down to like 1? Like, are you serious with that giant? Why are you giving it so much space? My God, I'd put that thing in a cage. This market needs a cage. So here you can see a little bit easier, because this might be a little disturbing visually, but you can see how it's like, wow, this was the big vacuum underneath. And if you connect the lows internally, as opposed to, in other words, most people are going to draw the trend, most people are going to put support in here. And they'll say, yeah, see that? But what about the internal supports? Or at least the vacuum support. And this has just got too big of a vacuum here. You know, same thing on the downside. If you connect these two tops, so this is double top, inside double top. This top is the Bill Williams fractal entry top. But this is critical, and this is when people have these, this actually looks more like a Gartley pattern than any of that stuff. If you consider this to be your bat wings, or this is your triple, whatever, and if you connect the 1, 2, 3, so it's a triple bottom. That's the inside bottom. Or like this is like the under over embedding. Keep getting that thing showing up. 1, 2, 3. And this would be the this is your classic double bottom, but it's like more about this inside. And here's the inside double bottom. And then this is the cause for the effect of filling that. So even this big vacuum on the north side, they got to come back and retest that thing. But you're always thinking the other side of the story is the cell stops, the protection becomes that insurance policy becomes where all the money's at. And certainly this, I'd be holding through the confirmation. When it takes out these, I'd know, okay, that external structure is being taken out, but the internal structure are these three attics here. So if you think these are really, and here is the cross member floor becomes a ceiling, supports like this. You've got a top, becomes a bottom, becomes a bottom. And these guys coming in here. So it's always the ceiling to the floor, and then back again. You know, you could think of it as like this is the insulation in the walls. There's a lot of ways to think of it. You could also think of it as an aerial view of volatility. And certainly if you go to the 1 minute chart, 1 hour chart, then you're going to see it jump out at you a little easier, the vacuums forming, and then the internal top bottoms looks more like a this is kind of bizarre, but yeah, you can see the volatility die down here. You could also put the clothes in there, but I wouldn't. It's a little too much. I tried doing that once, tried many variations of this, and must say you could do it. But you could also put candles in there, but then it's going to be so much of a story. You're not even going to want to hear about it. You're going to want to get the cliff notes on that. But here is a entry of a triple top. I'm looking at this 1, 2, 3. Those are triple. So these would be like volatility, as opposed to the trend line being here. It's the inside. Here's a double top. Boom. We fill. We take that fractal out. We take that Williams fractal out, but we're already in the trade up in here because of volatility rules. Here's three buy stops stacking up, and here is the 1, 2, 3, 4 quintuplet top. We should be filling and going after all these stops. And only two things can happen here. We're either going to go after all these stops, or we're going to start cleaning house in the north and go after that, and eventually go after that. But here's another example. This is the double bottom. You got symmetry here. There's a double top. And if you did divergences on lows, or you'd see the vacuums closing on the low window. Same thing here. You've got a top. Yeah, this is the top, but this is a top too. Top of a bottom. And that might sound kind of weird, but... And then here is the true bottom becomes a top. They break out, they fill, but anybody that's long this, if they're robots throwing in trailing stops, so this is really a view of trailing stops and what they, if you stack them up, this is what, of course here, if they were stacking up, this stop never got filled. And this just became a trap. But if you're running the other side of that, your break-even point is right here when these buy stops take over from these cells. And if these guys still were alive, which they shouldn't be, these should only last like 2 to 3 hours max. 1, 2, 3 hours. It's like a 3-bar breakout entry system. And here you're not going to put the order in because you spent too much time beyond 15 pips in 1 hour. The best entry is going to be 10 to 15 pips, like here. The small, quiet entry. So here's the double. Here's a double bottom. 1, 2. talking about this, the top double bottom, and here is a bottom to get long. Big flat bottom, and here's your first, I guess, rule-based entry where you have a bar under a certain amount of pips. It's not the best trade in the world. So looking for a rally tonight. I guess looking to take this out and go for this, or we'll go the southern route. We'll plunge down to here, and then we'll be buying anything below that. But it's kind of like trading by the hour. There's not much. You can't force these things. Right now, I'd probably be selling. Sell stops. Stacking up here on the other side. Or just let this thing play out. So there's nothing you can do but wait, unfortunately.